Thank you so much, Jake.
Man.
Awesome. Well, it's really great to see all of you guys on Zoom. Oh, good, Aaron's hopping on here. Always love seeing everyone on Zoom. I don't feel too zoomed out for some reason, although I know I might be in the minority. But the little extroverted side of me is always really happy to see folks in person. So I'm really excited for tonight's call. I'm going to do just a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to kind of just jump right in, because the more I talk, the less you get to hear from the folks that we really want to hear from. So a couple of things. We wrapped up our Adams Summer Social Series with Hamilton. We had, remember, our kind of watch party of Hamilton, and Paige and Baber and Tyrell and I watched Hamilton the other night. And I think, Tyrell, did you say that you're like obsessed with the soundtrack? I think we have more than 25 now. I can't see you, but yes.
I am totally obsessed with the soundtrack.
So good, you guys. We had popcorn. We were hanging out on the beds and couches, but so that was really fun. Thanks to everyone who participated. I hope those kind of events were lighter and funner, and at least helped us feel a little bit more connected over a summer when I know you guys have a lot of other kind of priorities going on. I want to remind everyone that this is the kickoff to our Mentor Week, and we've got an event every day, today through Thursday. Tomorrow is our Adams alumni virtual happy hour. We have like 15 already of our Adams alumni who have RSVP'd. I know Zoom, we won't get everyone that comes to that, but I've got a couple of really fun things that I've emailed them about to kind of participate. So I hope you'll be able to join us tomorrow night at 5, just from 5 to 6. Bring a beverage of your choice, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. I recommend Topo. Carolina whiskey is my favorite. So bring that, and it's just going to be kind of a light, fun time. It'll be really nice to get to know some of the alumni and allow them to get to know you a little bit more too. So that's the kind of plan for tomorrow. And then, of course, we have our brown bag breakouts, which is our small group conversations on Wednesday, and then our one-on-one mentor sessions. Oh, good. Mike just joined in. Hey, Mike. Alexandra's here. Oh, it's so fun to see you guys. And then on, of course, Thursday, we have our one-on-one mentor sessions. And Yogitha has been hard at work behind the scenes working on matches. I think tomorrow you guys are going to get your matches. Same for the advisors that are on the call too. We're going to send you your students who you're matched with tomorrow. So you'll have at least a couple of days to check everyone out. This is the first time we've done this in a virtual way. And we're going to be using Zoom breakouts for the bulk of our one-on-one matches. And so I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous about it, but we're gonna do lots of practice and figure it out. So you'll get instructions from Yogitha tomorrow or from me about how to log on. It's really gonna be this same Zoom information all week that you guys are gonna use. So excited for those. Okay, it's gonna be a great week. Let's see. I know that I want to mention and acknowledge the fact that I dropped a pretty big piece of news on you guys last week about the decision to pause the Adams program for the 2021 kind of year. So although I don't want to take us away from why we're here today, I did want to at least acknowledge the fact that we had talked about that. Most of you were able to make that call. If not, you got my follow-up email. So I just want to offer up to, we'll end this call right at 7 o'clock tonight, but I will stay on after that. And for anyone that wants to just kind of talk a little bit more about it, I'm happy to stick around and talk for as long as you guys kind of need. We've had at least a few days to kind of process. Again, it's not going to have dramatic impact for you guys this year, but it certainly will impact your switch to Adams alumni, which won't be exactly how we had hoped it would be. So I'll stick around afterwards, okay? So tonight, let's switch gears to our to the reason that we're here. And you guys know me by now that I like to kind of share, and it's important to me for you to know that when I create or we create different programs, that I do it with certain goals in mind. And so tonight, the two goals were, first, to help all of you guys imagine and really see what's possible when you have mentor relationships that are solid and strong. Some of them are newer, some of them have been going on for a while, but I want you to see what's possible with those. And I hope that what you see will encourage you to seek out these type of mentor relationships throughout your entrepreneurial career. So that's the first thing. It's just to show you a little bit what's possible. And the second thing is, like any friendship or a relationship, you have to put work into these to make them work. And so I've asked each of the mentor pairs or trio in one case, they're going to share maybe a little bit too about what they do to maintain and build that relationship. So I hope that you'll at least walk away with a nugget of goodies that again, you might be able to apply in the future. All right. You guys know the drill. We're going to be doing a lot in the chat window. This is a casual group. You can jump in. I've got a good 10, 15 minutes planned at the end for Q&A. So feel free to pop stuff in the chat window. I'll serve it up if I'm able to, or we'll save Q&A at the end and we'll stay on that way too. All right. So we'll warm our fingers up a little bit. I wanted to start with a quick opening exercise, and all of our mentors and mentor pairs, please participate in this too in the chat window. So I was thinking a little bit about, I want to get us thinking a little bit about mentorship. So I thought we would start with just a simple, and maybe it's not so simple, what mentorship means to you. So take just a minute, 30 seconds, think about what mentorship means to you, and then put that into the chat window. And then we'll read them out once they start coming in. What does mentorship mean to you? And for those that may have just hopped on, we're doing a quick opening exercise in the chat window. And we're just answering the question, what does mentorship mean to you? You could think about whether that's literally your definition of the word, what it means, what it's meant to you, the impact it's had on you, anything. Just when I say mentorship, what is your interpretation of that? All right, Scott says a safe place to allow you to express your fears, concerns, hopes, ambitions, and to have someone to be able to relate to that. Excellent. Sava, having someone to run anything by you when you need them, big, small, life-changing, mundane, anything, kind of like bringing your whole self. I love that. I'm not gonna get to read all these, but I'm gonna read at least some of them, and then I'll open it up if someone wants to share a little bit more. Babber says being able to teach and guide a person into a path without forcing them. Nice, I like that word guide. I think that will come up a lot. Aaron, a two-way street that pushes both in the direction they need. I love it. You guys remember at the spring conference, we did the exercise around what you as a mentee bring to the relationship and what mentors bring to the relationship. And it really is that two-way street. Don't forget how much you can support and help them too. Alexandra, mentorship is seeing someone's potential and helping them take these steps to attain it. I love it. Will, mentorship is what fills the gaps when you aren't competent, helps you soar when you are. I love it, kind of like good to great and great to excellent. Yogi, the mentorship for me has meant a relationship, mutual trust, respect, resilience. Alex, nice to see you here, Alex. Someone to call on a dime with any concern or question. They'll always answer, or at least let me leave a message. Yeah, kind of access, right? Just being there for you. That's great. Alex, the opportunity to improve everything by sharing perspectives, strategies, knowledge, both up and down the spectrum of experience. Love that. Awesome. I'm not going to read all the rest of these, but there's kind of some themes around providing guidance, support, picking up the phone when you answer, friendship, connection. Eric says connection to passions, causes, learnings, new relationships. Yeah, I love that. Mike says, I had wonderful mentors that helped me navigate my personal and business life. Therefore, I've made a lifelong commitment to making myself available to give back. I found mentoring mutually beneficial. You talked about that, Mike, at the Adams Gala when we gave you the Pioneer Award. Awesome. So I just want to open it up. Who would like to share a little bit more? Tyrell says hero. I just want to like read all of these, but I know you guys are kind of doing the same. Who wants to take a minute and just tell us a little bit more about why you wrote what you wrote? Or what mentorship has meant to you? Expand on what you wrote.
Yeah, I'm happy to go first.
Alex, go for it. And I'm not sure everyone knows Alex, so please introduce yourself too.
Actually, nobody knows Alex. My name's Adriel, and I'm on my father's Zoom account.
That's so funny. I was like, I know the last name, but not the first. Good.
That's Alex drinking tea right over there over my shoulder.
I love it.
What's up, guys? I graduated in 2015. I was one of the first class of Adams apprentices. and now live in San Francisco with my own startup. But a mentor for me is this one guy I worked really, really closely with on startup number one. And he is somebody to call when things are going really, really poorly and say, hey man, I need to get my head straight. And like, whether it's probably 50-50 on work things or personal things, but left a lot of messages, text messages, voicemails his way. But it's also somebody to call and honestly brag a little bit to, and someone who you know is going to be really proud of you, and someone who's there to sort of watch you through it all, not without any judgment, but with a lot of advice throughout the whole process. So this one person for me has been a huge, huge influence and a massive both support line and cheerleader. So definitely, there's been a bunch of like mini versions of him throughout life, but one person has really stuck out, and that's been a big one.
You mentioned cheerleader. That's one of my favorite words in a lot of contexts. Thanks, Adrielle. Who else wants to share or expand?
I'll jump in. A big thing for me is having trust between you and your mentor. In order for that mentor to help, I think you have to feel comfortable to share, but also be able to give them the full picture, the full story of where you want to go, what troubles you're actually running into. I think we talk to a lot of different people, and you might only give one part of the story or a little bit, or try to hide yourself or make yourself look good. But a true mentor relationship, you can show your true self, put yourself out there, be accepted for that, and really have someone that can take that in and help guide you for what's to come.
Thanks.
Yeah, if I can hop in is you know, because Alex and I have been working together, going back to some of the things that people said about the mutual way, you know, it's great to be able to tell somebody, hey, not only was I screwing things up or having problems getting started, but guess what? Things are still screwed up. You know what I mean? This isn't, you know, it's, I think sometimes people have this idea that somehow it's all, you know, I don't know, honey and flowers or whatever, and it's not. It's just not. I mean, I will say this, that one of the cool things about being a mentor this past year has been free bagels. That's been a good thing for me.
I agree with Scott. Like, it's definitely like there's the mentality of you just set it and forget it. Like Scott put you on the right track and then you're good to go. But the understanding that that's just not the case, and I'm experiencing that as we speak. It's nice to know that you don't just have to have that one conversation and then just be done with it.
Thanks, guys. In just a second, we're going to come back to the two of you anyways. Does anyone else want to share? Or I should say, who else wants to share?
Yeah, I'll share. As more of a mentor now, I do want to make sure that mentees realize that we probably get just as much out of the interaction as hopefully they do. It's important to learn, and obviously I'm a Gen, what am I? I'm not a millennial or a Gen Z, obviously. I'm a Gen Y, I guess. At Gen X, I'm a Gen X. So learning how to collaborate, work with younger generations is extremely important, and it's helped me in my career. So you're given, so some people, I sense sometimes people are scared to seek out mentors because they don't want to take their time, but realize that you're giving a lot in return too.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Well, in the interest of making sure we kind of stay on our agenda, I'm going to keep going, but keep the comments coming. Again, use the chat window throughout the conversation, and we'll have some time at the end too for official Q&A. But I'm gonna kick it first back to kind of Alex and Scott. And I know you guys will probably talk about how you met. You met actually through the Launch program, through Launch Chapel Hill. Alex has been an apprentice last year, and it's been such a treat personally. You guys know that I have a food background as well. It's been such a treat to watch Alex and reflect back on some of our early conversations about, I want to be on Franklin Street. What do I, just to kind of get going and to see how far Alex has grown personally. So I'm gonna let the two of you guys take it. And just kind of a reminder to all of our mentor-mentee pairs, you know, I think I said something like 6 to 8-ish minutes. We have about 30 minutes for the four of you. And so I will ask permission to give you a gentle reminder in the chat if we're running a little bit long, just so we save time for Q&A. But I'm gonna turn it over to Alex and Scott.
Well, so that means we get 26 minutes and everyone else gets 4?
No problem.
Okay, good. Well, I don't know what else to say. You know, that idea of mutualness, I mean, it's true. And you know, Mike was mentioning it too. You know, we may be separated by ages, but mindset and you know, desire to make a change. And you know, it was weird when I first got started in my career. I felt like I wanted to change the world. I was Ross Perot's campaign manager. I'd been in the Army in combat, and I honestly, I was very frustrated at my ability to change the world at large. And I ultimately decided I wanted to change a corner. And I feel like by trying to change a corner, I ultimately had a good impact on the world. And so that has brought me to this idea that, you know, there is no size that is not worthy of respect. And it's like my chef first told me when we opened the restaurant, you know, a burger deserves as much respect as a steak. And so when Alex came along, I recognized Alex as, in my mind, and I hope Alex doesn't mind me saying this, but as a fellow, you know, spirit, in the sense that, hey, we just wanted to make this impact. And you know, maybe people wouldn't see a bagel store as having an impact on Chapel Hill, but I could see it. I definitely could see it. And I also knew that Alex was serious. I get a lot of people that say, hey, I want to do something, but you don't see them actually doing the steps to actually do it. You see them spending a lot of time on naming their company and getting a logo and all of these things, but you don't see them actually doing the work. And when I found out that Alex had gone and gotten a job at Brugger's for 4 months and all of that, I realized, okay, this is a person that I can not only relate to, but I can learn from as well. And I think at the end of the day, we're all still in the game. Some of us, like Phaedra, are extremely successful, but I still think you're in the game, right? I mean, we're all going to learn from each other. And that's the whole point, is that I think that as entrepreneurs, we're on a lifetime journey of learning. So it makes sense that we learn from each other. And if I have something to offer, well, that's fantastic. But I want to learn as much as I want to teach. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree with Scott. I mean, we're definitely two people. It took me a little bit to figure out that I love the inch wide, mile deep approach and the impact that a place can have. And that stuck with me. When I was thinking about this meeting, I was thinking, because I could gush about Scott for a long time, and I'm sure he'll let me. But it was really like, why does it work and how does it work, our relationship? And the things that stuck out to me were that we did connect actually in terms of our understanding about the type of people we are. I remember when Scott and I had our first meeting and he said it to me, like, sometimes these mentor things, you just don't know where it's going to go. And I think that's a huge thing, just to be honest about and know that sometimes a mentor relationship can be more formal, or sometimes you can end up having a real true bond, which I'm really fortunate to say that I had with Scott. I think the two things for me were being prepared before I met with Scott and being honest with him were the two biggest things. Anytime I met with him, I wanted to make sure that I was being respectful of his time and being thoughtful about, where I can get some advice from him. The best thing that Scott, I think, does as a mentor is he doesn't have a set thing, it's scheduled or planned. He's really good at reading what the situation is, and sometimes things are more technical and we're going through things line item by line item, and other times he just knows that I just need someone to vent to.
As your mentor, I'm going to tell you, you need to work on your internet connection.
So we're having a hard time hearing you. I tell you what, Alex, why don't you just turn your video off? Even though I hate to not see you for just a second, why don't you turn your video off, because it's cutting out. I don't want the folks to miss what you're saying.
All right, Alex. Yeah, that's weird.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's still a little bit broken up.
But Alex was very respectful of my time. But to be honest, he was probably more respectful of my time than I am respectful of my time. And building on what he was saying is that, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, so Alex and I come together because I'm his coach at Launch. So I think, you know, it's like I got this role as coach, and sometimes that turns into mentorship, and sometimes that doesn't. Does that make sense? Right? And the role of the coach within the Launch thing, which by the way, I'm no longer an EIR at Launch, so now I'm back to mentoring just at large. But the point is that there is some times where you think it's about like what's the bagel recipe or you know, what is whatever it is, what is the technicality of it. But I find for the most part, y'all are doing what you're doing. And as both a coach and a mentor, as long as we keep you on the rails to make sure you're not going down some kind of weird side street, I find it's more about just keeping you motivated, making sure that fear and loneliness that you feel, we all feel it. That's what I would say, is that you look at people and you think, wow, they got it figured out. Well, I sure would love to say that I got it figured out. I don't. I'm fighting for my life as we speak. But I think the difference is that maybe 10 years ago I wouldn't admit that. I'm happy to admit that now, and I think that there might be something about that honesty, and that goes back to that safe place. And that's the thing about the Adams thing in general, right? I mean, I don't know many of you, but I feel connected enough with you indirectly to be honest, right? And that's the other thing too. Don't ever think your mentors got it all figured out. They don't.
We don't.
Phaedra seconds that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott. Alex, do we have you back? And then
I'm back.
Good.
I'm really sorry about that. I know the times. I don't know where I got cut off, but I couldn't agree more with Scott. We clicked from the beginning, and that's one of those rare things that I'm so grateful for. But to Scott's point, it was just being honest about knowing what we know and what we don't know. And as a mentee, I think it's you sort of want to prove to yourself, to your mentor, that you're legitimate. But I think as long as they see that you're trying, it's okay to admit where you don't. And that's I don't know. That's sort of been the best thing about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's been awesome working with Scott. He's been so helpful in every sort of step of the way. I couldn't be more happy, more grateful to have him as a mentor.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
And order Topo to go. They're now open Monday through Saturday, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
We're always selling.
I've pulled up in that and opened my trunk, and Esteban has come and brought some to-go, some Topo, and some hand sanitizer at the beginning of all this. So thanks you guys for sharing. And again, they'll stick around if we have questions for them. I know that they'll stick around to the end and we can get those too. I'm excited for this next trio, really, because it's a little bit unique. I was remembering Hia during our interviews, like all the Zoom interviews that we all did to get you guys in this program. Hia mentioned that she knew Saba, one of our alumni, and then Saba has her own mentor, Alexandra, that's come from one of our earlier classes, 2017. So I figured we would feature 3 generations, so to speak, of Adams alumni. And I know that the time's going to go quick, but I love the little truth nuggets that you guys just kind of drop. So keep dropping those too. But Saba, Hia, Alexandra, I'm going to kick it off to you guys.
Yeah, so Saba and I have been friends for like a long time before I even was at UNC. And so I think she officially kind of became my mentor in that capacity when I was in my first year of UNC, and I didn't really know. I was having like this life crisis of what I wanted to do with my life, what major should I pick? And I think both of us come from this background where it's really common to have a career in like a traditional STEM kind of career. And so I kind of reached out to her because she's somebody who's pursuing something really different. And so I learned that she was in business and public policy. And so it kind of just helped to see someone who is in a role or in a position that kind of looks like me and is able to be successful. And so I was more excited to apply to the business school, and she was really helpful to me in that time and process of actually applying and just getting tips on like how to make my resume look better and how to excel in the application process. And then, so then I learned that she was in Adams, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I applied, because I heard a lot of good things about it. And so just to say, like, it's really beneficial to have someone in your personal network to have as a mentor, because you have that vulnerable and authentic kind of relationship. So I can trust that like Saba will tell me how it is and not really hold back. And so I really appreciate just that kind of honesty.
Yeah, and to echo that, I think at this point, I was helping Hia through a lot of the initial steps in more of a mentor capacity, but then as things progressed, like she got into Adams and then she started figuring her stuff out and everything, then I stepped into more of a peer mentorship role where the two of us really bounce ideas off of each other. And it's really nice to have each other and to have taken our friendship from the point of just, being close friends and knowing each other our whole lives to moving into talking about professional stuff and knowing we can bounce these ideas off of each other. And we have these shared connections through Adams as well. And being able to talk through the resources that we have is really, really helpful.
Yeah, and then coming off of that, so Saba and I have known each other also for a while, and we were friends before we were mentor-mentees. And one of my favorite things about being mentor-mentee with Saba is learning from Saba as well, because we have similar interests, but of very different ways of pursuing them. And I think that is something that's really exciting, to have conversations about the same field from entirely different perspectives and ways of pursuing them. And I think, these are lifelong mentorships that we have to each other. Like someone said earlier, it's a two-way street, and you never know if someday down the road, one of us is going to start a company and we're going to need the other person who has that like specific niche kind of expertise in the same field that we're pursuing. So to me, like, that's something that I'm looking forward to, is just where this can all go in the future and how we can all help each other even as we move forward and start new ventures and adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to give a bit of context to my relationship with Alexandra too, I don't know if everybody on the call has met her, but she is amazing. And so such a huge part of my time at Carolina. I think most of you have probably heard of Culture Magazine on campus, and she was actually the founder of that. I joined the team shortly after on the photography team and moved my way up into director roles in photography. But throughout that time, and that was before Adams when I first joined the magazine, I looked up to Alexandra as a mentor already. I knew fashion was a space I was interested in, and we had kind of geeked out over sustainability and fashion and things like that together before. And once I heard about the Adams apprenticeship and I found out that she's in it, we spent such a long time at True talking through how to apply, what to do, all these things. And ultimately, when I got in the program, I mean, she's moved on to be one of my biggest cheerleaders and I one of hers. And we're so honest with each other all the time. And ultimately, when it came time to decide career path, post-grad, what's my first step gonna be? I know I've talked to quite a few of you, so I went the corporate path, I know. But I talked that through with Alexandra really extensively at that time, like when I was going through this transition. It was a big choice to go fashion or tech, like what do I do? And I talked through that again at True, our favorite spot, for quite a long time. And it's so special to find someone who is patient and takes the time to understand what makes you tick and what is right for you, not just speaking from like, oh, I think you should. The real value I find from my mentorship with her and that I try to provide to anybody I mentor in the future is to really sit down and think, okay, well, putting myself in their shoes, what would be something that would really uplift them and is the best choice for them in this point in time. And she's always done that. And I know I can always call her and set up time when we're in the same city and things like that. So really value her in my life.
Yeah, I think our interactions have been sort of ad hoc. Like sometimes you can just hey, like I need your thoughts on something, and you can call me up really fast. But other times, you know, it's nice to be intentional and say, okay, we're going to sit down, we're going to take the next 2 hours, and this is what we're going to talk about. And we're just going to think about it and talk through everything and take the time for it. I think that's really important too. Sometimes it's nice to have both, you know, spur of the moment, but also very intentional conversations that can help set the direction for the mentee and make sure that they feel like they've thought through all of their options and kind of had a second opinion on them.
Thanks you guys so much for sharing. When I was figuring out who to invite for these speaking roles, it was important to me to have at least a pair that was highlighting what Vicki, our executive director, likes to call near peer mentors. And so I want to just encourage you guys. I think that we have this thought that mentors have to have years of experience, but some of the most inspiring, important people in our entrepreneurial careers, especially where you guys are now, they could be one step ahead of you. They don't have to be 10. So seek out a wide range of folks to consider for mentor relationships. Thanks to the three of you guys for sharing. This was really fun to see the different generations there of Adams alumni, I mean. So next, I want to bring Eric Lynch and Andrew Slaughter in, and I'm excited to hear what you guys want to share. And if I'm not mistaken, I might be jumping the gun. You might share this, but if I'm not mistaken, you guys we put you guys together at the gala last year, right? And is that the first time you guys met, or you had met before?
Yeah, it was the gala in 2018.
One of those. Maybe not. No, I wasn't here in 2019.
It was 2 galas ago.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it was you, Joe. You circulated a list of advisors coming, and I, kind of thumbed through it, and I saw Eric was involved in renewable energy and investment, which were, 2 of my interests at the time. So I thought it might be cool to sit next to Eric. Fortunately for me, it was. He and his wife, Andre, were great company. Chatted through the dinner, and from there we kept in touch. I was working on a few different things and kind of trying to get a better feel for my entrepreneurial aspirations. So I'd check in with Eric, and he had a kind of a wealth of knowledge in specifically renewable energy entrepreneurship. So we met for coffee intermittently over the last year and a half, roundabouts. And yeah, I guess from my perspective, it was just a great opportunity to have someone that was successful in a field that I wouldn't say is devalued in a general business sense, but you talk to business school people about renewable energy and environmentalism, and it doesn't kind of strike as exactly what is at the top of the list for people. But having someone in my network like Eric kind of encouraged me to kind of pursue that direction for me, and kind of hold on to that as a passion of mine. And without that, I might not, have had an opportunity to know what I know now and learn what I've learned, and be put in a position right now to kind of sharpen my skills for the future of technology and renewable energy, in addition to kind of being roped into a pretty cool small development team right now. So that has been a great opportunity for me. Oh, and he has great book recommendations. Sapiens, Homo Deus, Talking to Strangers, 3 of the better books I've read in the last few years. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. Every year, I think I got involved in Adams initially, maybe 2015 or so, about the time that Adrielle was in Adams. And each year, it's like there's an individual, maybe 1 or 2, that approach me, and oftentimes it starts out as kind of a common passion or interest in renewable energy or the environment. And then it evolves. Just, I put up earlier, I think the important part about any great human experience is connection. And certainly a relationship through the Adams mentor-mentee relationships really are all about that, about connection and people coming into your life at kind of the right place at the right time. I tell people that are sort of looking for business advice that it's a lot of it comes down to luck and timing. Hard work is really important, but the people that come into your life and the timing around that, and Andrew coming, us meeting, and we actually have been working on a project together. So there's actually been sort of a pretty tangible nature to our relationship. It's been started out as kind of getting together, and I think just sort of bouncing ideas off each other. And I like to say too that I don't have the answers, but you have the answers in your head. But sometimes asking good questions can help kind of bring that out. And I think with Andrew, just his dedication, the stuff he's been working on, that we've been working on together, just pretty interesting. And I think there's going to be some real tangible results from that. So and I continue to keep in touch with other folks that going back to 2015 and 2016 that even to this day, that we just kind of touch base and maintain that relationship. So I think the really special relationships last for years and maybe for decades. So just looking forward to the next decades with hopefully seeing where Andrew goes and maybe being part of that journey.
For sure.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Andrew. And you, and also Scott had mentioned it before, you all kind of hit on something really interesting. I kind of call it serendipity or chemistry, but it's at Adams, we work really hard to be able to match you thoughtfully. And we ask, you guys, Andrew was a great example. You guys know it. We send lists out and say, who do you want to meet? We do email introductions. We're going to match you the same way for your one-on-one mentors. But we have no idea if that chemistry is going to be there or that connection, or like Alex was talking about, whether you're just going to kind of click, as people. And so that's something that I can't create. So that's interesting, when you're meeting people, kind of feel out for that. Thanks for highlighting those things, Eric and Andrew. And now I'm gonna bring in Chi and Phaedra. And if you guys remember the story, it's interesting. I just realized with both Chi and Mike, we have both of our Entrepreneurial Pioneer Award winners. We had Mike, who accepted the award for an entrepreneur, and Chi, who was our alumni, our inaugural kind of alumni awardee. And I'm flashing back to what Chi had to go through to get to our gala, and it was planes, trains, and automobiles to get kind of there. And I think he got there about 10 minutes before his speech started. So anyways, Chi, Phaedra, it's really nice to have the two of you guys here. And I can tell you, when I inherited this role, when I joined this team about a year and a half ago, when I first met with Chi, Phaedra was so in the mix in that conversation. It was such already then a very special relationship. So I'm gonna hand it over to you guys.
Awesome, thank you, Jill. Hey, Phaedra.
Hey.
There you
Can you
go.
hear me? All right, off mute.
Yep. So Phaedra was actually my Adams, back then we had pods, and our pod was actually pretty stacked. There was myself, Alexandra, hey Alexandra, Nina Luca, Taylor Meyer, Luke Lechner, and Phaedra was our assigned coach. So we came in and got really a gift in Phaedra. And I think her spirit of just being generous with her time, her connections, just her energy, I think that's what pulled me in. And I think it was really a simple, me just doing what she said a few times, right? And being in touch. And that's how it kind of began and grew. And I think Phaedra for me was a person who told me, Chi, if you love sports, if you love data, why not start this thing around helping teach kids, right? These skills. And I think before Phaedra, I had different ideas about my own venture. But she helped me understand that I can take my passions and things which I care about and have an impact, right, through this vehicle. So that's how I'll begin it, Phaedra. You can talk more about how we met.
Yeah, I mean, she made it so simple. I mean, plus I had the best pod ever. I mean, with you, Alexandra, and she and everybody else. I mean, everyone was so energized and positive, and it was just fantastic. What a gift to me to be able to hang out with you guys and just bask bask in the great energy. But yeah, I mean, working with Chi has just been fun, so fun. Brainstorming about what to do next and where to plug him in and what kinds of conferences, and different business models and, you know, where things are moving. It's just been an utter delight. It's like a break from my regular day to day, you know, to live vicariously through another entrepreneur. So the pleasure has been fully mine.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phaedra. And I would say, I mean, for me, I think something about you is that you open up your life beyond just your professional life, right? I know your family. I've been to your house a few times, and you have a yearly Greek Easter celebration.
The Greek Easter, yeah. This past year, not so much due to the pandemic, but yes, the Greek Easter, and you were there, ready to go.
Exactly. So each year, Phaedra and her family has a big celebration, and she invites friends, family. And I remember in 2018, she invited both of the pods she was advising, Adams, right? I was like, what, Greek Easter Sunday with Phaedra food? I'm definitely coming. It's a no-brainer. Like, that's like a simple choice, but I think just by showing up, right, and being present, and meeting people, Phaedra was very intentional, saying, okay, Chi, go talk to this person, right? Or Chi, like, this guy works the Epic, or Chi, like, you should meet. I mean, I think her mind is always thinking about how she can connect people, right? And I think the more it happens in natural settings, where I think it could be a conference, it could be a coffee chat, right? I think that's where really it became, I think, it became things which came tangible, which have led to me being on conferences, right? Me having, I think so many things have led from Phaedra, just being generous with her time. So I think that's something which I appreciate.
Aw, I'm gonna tear up. You know, in prior Greek Easters, the spit that the lamb was on was hand cranked. So if you had come in prior Greek Easters, it would have been a major workout. So you lucked out the year that you came. We had it fully automated. But yeah, it's been wonderful. Certainly, sharing my Rolodex, you know, is the very least that I can do. But certainly, when new things come across my plate, I really earnestly try to think like, okay, how is it going to help the folks that I'm working with and talking to, like Chi. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and I think the last piece it would be, I think there's no flow to how we interact, right? I think it's really just based on anytime we talk or we connect, it's very much how can we help each other, right? And I think that's something which comes from trust, knowing that if you tell me to do something right, I'm going to do it and do it well. I'm not going to mess it up, right? Or do it half-assed. I think that trust had to be built, but I think having that trust be built over time is so much more rewarding now in the future.
Oh. Yeah, like just now in the chat, I was like, hey, check out this link. Yep. There's this new grant that just came out. It's spontaneous in that way, unplanned.
Well, and Chi, can you also mention, Chi does something really well and better than most that I've seen, is that he sends pretty regular updates. Maybe it's not every single month, but you have, can you talk a little bit about how you keep some of the mentors in your life, like informed about what's happening?
For sure. So with my company, I have an advisory board, which Phaedra sits on. It's about 6 people who I think have been involved from a more strategy standpoint. But beyond that, I send a monthly update to people who could be mentors, friends, people who have shown support. And I just outline what Gameflow has done each month, right? In a very simple way. And also ask for help in certain ways. So for me, it's just a way of showing people that I am accountable and that we're taking steps towards reaching our goals, but at the same time, it's not an easy process, right? And so I think being very transparent about the ups and downs has made people reaching out and helping us out so much more impactful. So Phaedra has seen the ups and downs firsthand, but I think through all of it, she has been just there to kind of support and lend this what's next G attitude to us.
Thank you guys both for sharing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Makes me happy. I've been hearing Phaedra about this Greek Easter since Chi and I have first met. So it's
the vaccine. You're welcome to come.
And Mike hit it in that. Mike also commented, kind of elevated it in the chat window. He says, I agree with you that mentors like Phaedra sharing aspects of their personal life is important. I think that it's not uncommon in my own mentor relationships where that relationships evolve and it becomes friendship. And I find that when that happens, like the formality goes away. And then you feel like it's an even safer relationship where you can bring your whole self. And it's really nice. I've experienced that myself. Alex says he agrees too. Awesome. So it's 6:47 here. Thank you guys, by the way, for like staying on time. Very proud. That was a little ambitious to have 4 pairs going in such a short time. So I want to open it up for a little bit. What kind of questions do you have? I'll give you guys a minute or so to think about it, but what questions do you have? It could be for any of the specific folks we talked with any of the pairs, or just anything on mentorship that you'd like to get their kind of experience on. And you can, since it's kind of a relatively smallish group, we have about 30 of us here, if you'd like, just take yourself off mute and ask your question, because I know the Adams apprentices were not super shy. Scott says he'd never let you come to his house, Alex.
You know, I'm just joking, Alex.
I'm coming anyway.
I have much more alcohol at my places of work.
Taking a happy hour to your house.
Alex, Alex Rich, it looks like you have something you're gonna ask.
Yes. So for Scott and Alex, I know both of the businesses that you're in are heavily impacted by what we're dealing with the pandemic. I'm wondering what you're seeing in terms of digital options and data flow, and companies that kind of help you address this shift, and what's kind of emerging and changing there as far as the potential for startups supporting this shift goes.
Do you want to go, Scott, or should I?
You go ahead, man. I think you're even more in touch than I am.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's honestly, it's a mess. There are so many companies and so many startups out there, but none of them, it doesn't feel like any of them there's one shop that can do everything from start to finish, i.e., that you can go online and place an order. It can go through to your POS. It can connect through to make sure that it goes through the right accounting and back office. It can go through for the right tickets, that it can signal the right delivery driver. There are so many different systems. There are so many different companies, and different companies work with different POSs. There's a huge opportunity in this space, I would say, but it's difficult because you've got such big players, whether it's the delivery component from Uber Eats and DoorDash and Postmates and Seamless, to the big POS companies like Square and Toast, etc. It's really fragmented right now, and it's been really hard on my side trying to come up with systems that work for my business. And I've definitely I've talked to I think every company at this point, and there really is no one size fits all. It's definitely a lot of putting the pieces together to make it work.
Yeah, I'm lucky in the sense that we made a very good decision to update our POS system. So we've been in business, on top of the hill's been in business now almost 25 years. And so I had a POS system for 10 years, updated it, and basically had it for 14 or 15. And we literally updated it in September, and that was the Toast. And that's actually proven to be very fortuitous because, and if you don't know, the rest of you, POS system is the heart and soul of any restaurant, or at least it should be. And Toast was the first real kind of high-tech going for a public offering type company. And so they really did a good job of being thorough. And sometimes, a company can try to do too much stuff, but Toast has done pretty well. And a lot of their capabilities have allowed us to do some things. I find that for me, the issue, frankly, is, between government restrictions in terms of operations and or customer sentiment, it's been very difficult to navigate this in Chapel Hill in the summertime. Is there any business at all in the summer when the university's closed? Well, not really. And so we are just now reopening. We started takeout and delivery and we're doing the delivery ourselves, I find that I'm getting so inundated with so many startups that would want to be helping me that frankly, I'm having a hard time sorting all of that. And from my perspective, I have found that the Toast has been able to answer my needs. But if you are going to get into this space, and like Alex said, I think there's lots of opportunity. I think it's going to require an old school way of marketing. I don't, everybody's using that digital marketing aspect. And so I think you're going to have to go old school and really get to know the person, get to know the business, and get in that way. I don't think that the never-ending emails are really going to catch the attention, at least of guys my age, and I could be wrong for other folks. But when you get so inundated with so many emails, you just say, all right, all of these things I'm pushing off to the side because, right, I'm only going to deal with people I know, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of money also getting thrown into this space as well. I don't know if anyone saw the 60 Minutes on all the delivery systems and how they're all basically failing, but they're all just throwing capital at it. And they're coming up with new solutions basically every single day. And so there's definitely a lot to take in. The other thing I've looked at on the bagel side is subscription services. And I've looked at Shopify to help that. But even that, there's not, it's not perfect. And I agree with Scott. Something that's more specific and sort of that's really thoughtful about your business goes a long way when you find those people that can help you get there.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys, for sharing. Great question, Alex. Thank you. So let me do a time check. 6:54. I tell you what, I'm going to do our quick little closing exercise because I want to end right at 7. And then, like I said, I will stay on for anyone. If there's other questions, let me just kind of say this too. If there's other questions around mentorship, anything you want to ask the folks that talk, go ahead and put it in the chat window because I will try and serve it up in just a couple of minutes, but I want to just make sure that we end at time. And reminder that I will stay on to talk with anyone or any groups of folks that want to talk a little bit more about the decision to pause Adams. I know the focus of this was all about mentorship, and I didn't want to cloud that up. But I took a few notes on just some of the themes that popped up that were ones that I expected to pop up and hoped would, that I kind of want to highlight for everyone. And first, I loved what Scott was saying about that you're looking for someone who's really serious about what they're doing and is taking action. And I've heard that from a lot of mentors because mentors often get inundated with a lot of requests for coffee, right? A little coffee chat or Zoom chat. So when you have someone who you can see is like making progress, I think that's really motivating as a mentor. I've heard that. Love thinking about being really respectful of people's time and showing up prepared, like Alex mentioned. We've talked a lot about honing in on your ask, being clear up front what it is you're hoping to get out of that conversation or you'd like their input on. It just adds more focus and it makes usually those meetings a lot more fruitful. Being honest, I loved, and that kind of goes along with trust, like showing up and being honest. And on the kind of holding side, creating an environment that people feel safe to do that. So honest, trust, clicking, look for folks that you click with. Can't explain that. It's like it's a marriage, it's dating, it's a relationship, right? Sometimes you can't explain chemistry. Don't worry about it if it's not clicking. Don't worry about trying to force it into that, but look for that. Regular cadence to stay in touch, whatever that looks like, whether it's formal or informal. And then I love this idea of kind of friendship. In some capacity, the relationship evolves to include some friendship in a lot of cases, whether that's with near peer, older, younger, whatever. So those were some of the themes that I popped up. So as a way to wrap this up, let's go back into the chat window. Oh, Mike says being honest and vulnerable, 1000%. Let's go into the chat window and let's just put in here one highlight from today's call that you guys got. It could be something that I just said, which is a takeaway for you. It could be a creative idea that any of this sparked in you. It doesn't have to be like your biggest number one best thing that you got out of this call, but just something that you want to share. Take 30 seconds and just put it into the chat window. We covered a lot of ground with a lot of different people. What's one thing that you're gonna either take away or highlight from this call? Eric says, favorite quote I heard this summer, change happens at the pace of trust. I love that. Scott, apparently I need to wrangle an invitation to Phaedra's Easter Festival. I think that's the theme, Phaedra. Phaedra says, coaching and food is a powerful combo and delicious combo, I would add. Oh, they're coming in so fast, I can't read them. Saba reminded me to check in with some folks who I haven't talked with in a while. That's a great reminder. These things take some energy and time and intention. Matt says, mentors also benefit from the relationship too. Yay, I love hearing that. We kind of try to amplify that in a few different ways, but it was so nice to hear from all of the mentors on this call that they get so much out of it. Sarah Sharp, our awesome marketing team member, love the idea of making one corner of the world better, not trying to be overly ambitious and take on the globe. I'm glad that resonated, Sarah. Phaedra, you're invited. Scott, Pia says, like what she shared about sending monthly updates. Yeah, that regular communication keeps himself accountable. Anyone else do really well when they have their feet held to the fire and they know people are expecting something? Me too. Mark says, keeping my mentors more in the loop versus regular communication. Chi, don't be scared to be vulnerable, but make sure to be accountable. So kind of, I think, follow through with action is what you're also saying there, which I really like, Chi. Mike said, love Scott's points that Alex was willing to get his MBA hands dirty in the F&B biz before seeking assistance. Y'all, I could tell the story 1,000 times. Alex on the phone where he's got this internship and he's thinking about Brugger's and he's like, do I really go sling bagels at 3 in the morning when everyone I know is getting swanky internships, getting paid a shit ton of money, my words, not his, to do this. And Alex is the type of guy that did the 3 a.m. bagel slinging and look where he is now. So I love that. It's a great point, Mike. Becca, let's see, did I skip anything? Becca says the importance of networking in the virtual world to avoid imposter syndrome, stay motivated. Will, a reminder that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. They want to help however they can. Preach, that's great. Andrew Adams is clearly an effective method for connecting people and facilitating meaningful relationships. Hope so, that's good to hear. Alexandra, love Phaedra's point that whenever new opportunities come along, she considers her mentees and how they could benefit. Tyrell, making connections that go beyond the business. I like that, beyond the business. That's a good little tagline. I'm so happy that you guys got all of that out of tonight's call. This was a highlight for me. I'm feeling really inspired just hearing of some of these stories, and I hope that you guys are too. So I'm gonna officially end the call now. For those who need to hop off, thank you for joining us. Hop off. If there are other questions that come through, pop them in the chat window. Aspen says, love the idea of having mentors 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. Mentors aren't perfect either, echoes Alex, I love it. And that's okay, 1000% yes. So hop off if you need to. If you want to still ask some questions, take yourself off mute or pop it in the chat window and we'll stick around. But thank you for joining us. See some of you guys the rest of this week for Mentor Week, either at the Alumni Happy Hour or at our Brown Bag breakouts at noon on Wednesday, and certainly for your one-on-one mentor sessions. Bye, Mike. Great to see you. Bye, Eric. Bye, Scott. Thanks, you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Chi.